Thanks so much. I'm Ricky Camilleri. Welcome to Build Weekend Watch, the show you are most likely watching because you're tied to a radiator and your MAGA hat-wearing captor left his AOL homepage up. Well, on behalf of all of us, I hope you escape soon, but not before you find out what TV and movies are available for you to watch in the unlikely scenario you do get out of there. I'm Ricky, and I'm alongside HuffPost senior reporter Leigh Blickley and reporter Delbyck, and today we'll be covering the newest TV and movies worth talking about. Hey guys, thanks so much for being here. First up, we have the return of the only perfect show on right now, Glow. That is not an opinion, that is objective. The Netflix series inspired by the 1980s Women Wrestling League somehow manages to please both basement-dwelling, neck-breathing dudes looking for women jumping around in tights and high-minded folk looking for serious stories about strong women trying to make it in a misogynist world. I obviously fall into the latter category. Trailer, please.
We're gonna be canceled. I can't believe this.
I think this might have something to do with me.
That is how this business works. It shouldn't be that way.
They gave a men's wrestling show our slot.
So you just let them do whatever they want? Fuck no.
Fuck no. What are we gonna do about it?
I say we do whatever the hell we want to do. Set the weirdos free and see what happens.
You want to be respected, you gotta make yourself useful.
I know what I'm worth, and I'm not apologizing to anyone.
So, I love Glow. It's obviously not objective that it's the only perfect show on right now, but I do honestly believe, diving into the second season for the second time already as the show is premiering today, it's the only show on that has its cake and eats it at the same time, in the sense that it can go so broad, so hilarious, and at the same time still feel very grounded and emotionally resonant with all of its characters. I just don't think there's another show this good that is able to have such big crowd-pleasing moments and at the same time such smart commentary that doesn't feel preachy or doesn't feel like it's pasted into something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm impressed that you're already watching it for a second time.
I couldn't help it.
I still have to get through season 2, but I mean, the first episode like grips you right back in. It's like you never left that world, and the performances are just so good. Visually, it's so like stimulating, and like you said, it's a feel-good show, but that talks about bigger topics, but doesn't necessarily like throw it in your face to the point where you're like, I have to turn this off.
It never feels proud of itself. Yeah. It just feels like it's doing the work to be a good show.
You sort of got to this in your intro, but I love how it plays with that tension of the empowerment aspect of wrestling, but also like how it's very exploitative, and these women have to play these sort of stereotypical roles in the ring, but it sort of deconstructs what that means to take home with you. And I love sort of the wrestling scenes because they're so fun to watch, but I think the more compelling scenes are when we see these women sort of working together, practicing, rubbing like elbows in the locker room. That's what really draws me in.
There's a scene, I think, in the maybe the second or third episode of this new season where Allison Brie is learning how to break dance with a new wrestler who's part of the team. And I rewatch it, there's just something about that scene. It's like, I've never seen this on television before. I've never seen two women doing this before on TV. And going at, like, talk about intersectional. It's like you have these two women, you have a Hispanic woman, you have break dancing, and they're talking about their relationship to these different communities. But it's all funny and it's all entertaining. At no point does it feel like anyone's going to look in the camera and go, aren't we being intersectional right now while we're doing this?
It's not like an hour-and-a-half episode. It's like these quicker, a little over 30 minutes. But you just, every time they end, you're like, wait, I want more. And that's probably why you watched it again.
But that's also great writing, that they're able to sort of put so much commentary and so many jokes into very quick scenes and very quick stories. So often when I watch TV now, I find myself going, come on, get to it. Get to the point here. You shouldn't belabor this for so long.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of the answer to Netflix's like bloating problem, right? Like all the series go on for way too long, too many episodes, and Glow really never outstays its welcome. Every it's a half-hour show, right? About it ends, and you're sort of craving for more, which I can't say about any sort of recent Netflix series that just drags on.
Yeah.
Drags on, yet there are only 10 episodes
for
the most part.
Okay, the Marvel series are just, we could be 6 episodes and done.
You get one good episode at the top, and then you get a decent episode halfway through the series, and then you get a final episode. Everything in between just feels like filler all the time. Where Glow has so many characters, so many stories to tell, so many jokes, great writing. We actually have a clip of my interview with Chris Lowell, who plays Bash on the show. Let's take a quick look at that clip, and then we'll talk about how great my interview was with him and how wonderful of a job I did. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
I think what's most impressive about what Liz and Carly, who are the creators of the show, have done is I remember reading the pilot and just thinking there was in order for them to stick the landing of creating a show that is so funny and irreverent and playful, but also has like such poignancy and depth. I remember thinking it was going to be it's like near impossible to hit that bullseye. And I remember we were about halfway through the first season. We watched the pilot, and it just blew my mind.
That's another thing that I think, just to echo what he said when I watch it, is I'm consistently impressed with when they hit the bullseye and how they hit it. I mean, even the opening episode, which is in the trailer, I think, of the second season, them taking the Polaroid and it failing. On paper, it could feel kind of like a corny throwback to the 80s, but there is something about how great their performances are, how many beats are in the scene, that it just works really well. They always stick the landing, always hit the mark.
Yeah, that scene opens season 2.
Yeah.
And it just grabs you right away. You're like, oh, I missed the show. I'm so happy it's back.
And it's such a great example of having their cake and eat it. It's them literally saying what the show is, bringing all the characters into one shot, I think any other show that did that, you'd be like, I know what I'm watching. Like, you don't have to do this. But with Glow, you're like, I love these people. This is fantastic.
Yeah, watch it again.
I mean,
again and again and again.
To me, one of like the only drawbacks of the show is that it's almost too much. There are too many complex, nuanced characters on sort of the staff of the crew of the wrestling team, and each one does get their moment, at least in the first sort of 4 episodes that I've seen. But I wanted more in some way, and maybe it's good that it leaves me wanting more, but there are just so many good, complex characters at play here.
So many good stories to come, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. The second season it is
queer storyline that comes up, which I'm very excited about. About time, a ladies wrestling team, come on.
There's a couple of them, actually, but again, handled very in the way that I think this show handles everything. It's there, but it's not going to be the entire story, and we're not proud of ourselves for telling this story. It's just like it has to be in this story, otherwise we're not doing our jobs. Let's move on to our next title. After the critical success of Sicario, Taylor Sheridan decided to write a sequel directed by what seems to be the team behind Ed Hardy t-shirts in 2006. Show that. Let's take a look at Sicario, Day of the Soldado.
Next week, the president's adding drug cartels to the list of terrorist organizations.
You want to see this thing through? I'm gonna have to get dirty.
You're gonna help us start a war.
With who?
Everyone.
They need Blackhawks, strike teams, attack drones.
Where's the coup?
Mexico.
You have been kidding.
Is that your brother? Because I don't want to kill the pool guy.
Now that we got the cartels at each other's throats, secret won't keep long.
That Ed Hardy t-shirt that I'm referring to on the poster there. Look, I haven't seen this. I will just say what worked about the first Sicario does not work for me in this trailer here.
This trailer feels nothing like the first Sicario. And there's no Emily Blunt, so I'm out. So I'm just like, whatever. But no, I mean, Josh Brolin, too, has just been in so much this year.
He got put to work.
Yeah, he had Deadpool and, of course, the Avengers. And now just to see him in this, like you said, Ed Hardy t-shirt trailer, I'm just like, yeah, I could skip this. I'd rather go see him in one of the other 2 movies he's out in.
Yeah, there wasn't necessarily like just the moral center of Emily Blunt in the first Sicario. There was also this sense of impending doom that like what was happening in Mexico and what was happening with the CIA and how everybody was handling it was just leading to worse effects. And I get the sense in this that it's just an action movie, which is sort of the complete opposite of what you were supposed to feel from the first Sicario, I think. You weren't supposed to be titillated by the action.
You were sort of viewing it through this critical lens of sort of the horrors that go on in this sort of like drug world. And yeah, I'm a little confused because it's like, who watched the first Sicario and was like, oh, we need another one, you know? Yeah. It seemed like a really complete story. And then I know there's like a young girl that gets kidnapped in this, and I'm so over the tired trope of like this, guy who kills all these people who's humanized by this young girl who's coming along for the ride. And I'm just like
Logan.
It's like literally Logan, and I don't know.
Yeah, and it was funny because when this movie screened this week or last week, LA critics loved it and the New York critics hated it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what will happen at the theater. People are either going to love it or hate it. But I can't see people running to be like, I have to see the Sicario sequel.
From what I understand, the New York critics that I have been reading have said that removing Emily Blunt from it and Denis Villeneuve, their perspectives has caused the movie to feel kind of right-wing in its approach to the drug war. I haven't seen it, but if right-wing is your thing, Day of the Soldado might be a good day at the movie theater for you.
Well, in some ways it does feel sort of timely with sort of the immigration crisis going on, and I think it opens with a terrorist sort of event that's tied to people coming into the country, and so at least
which we need more of. We need more
you.
stories like that permeating the culture right now. Thanks. Let's move on to a movie that I absolutely love. It's based on the book My Abandonment, directed by the Oscar-nominated Deborah Granick. It's called Leave No Trace. It's a beautiful new film. It tells the story of a father and daughter who, after years of living off the grid, are forced to adapt to living in society. Before we take a look at the trailer, though, let's take an embarrassing look at me sharing how much I love this movie with the director. It's so embarrassing, but I gotta own it, so let's take a look. I love this film. I really love it. Chin quiver. I quivered in the chin, guys. It was really embarrassing.
Ricky, that's so sweet.
No, it's fucking embarrassing. Are you kidding? I'm not supposed to do that.
I like that authenticity.
At first
Everybody
I
said
laughed
that
at
afterwards.
you.
I feel like how Anthony talks about the time that he cried on Queer Eye, like the time that he cries, he wants the cameras off of him and everybody else dives in.
But that was his best moment. That was
That's
his,
true.
Tammy,
I was just laughing at you, and then I realized you were genuinely feeling something. That was really sweet, Ricky.
Well, you've seen the movie. Well, let's look at the trailer and then we'll talk about why I cried. Let's look at the trailer.
Are we gonna be okay here?
Still think her own thoughts.
Keep pedaling. Look where you want to go.
School is about social skills, not just intellectual ones.
I think it might be easier on us if we try to adapt.
We're wearing their clothes, we're in their house, we're eating their food, we're doing their work. We have adapted.
First of 1,000, right on the wall.
Pack your things.
Did you even try? 'Cause I can't tell.
Somebody said it's unspeakable love to me.
Where's your home?
With my dad.
So this and I think Lean on Pete are my two favorite movies of the
Just
year.
gonna say, when I watched Leave No Trace, I just immediately thought of Lean on Pete, and we had talked about how that movie kind of just affects you. This has the same feeling. It's just a simple, beautiful movie that really reaches you in your soul without having to be this humongous, blockbuster.
And the thing is that there's a moment in the trailer where the main character is crying and she says, "What's wrong with you isn't wrong with me." And that's when the trailer ends. And Deborah Granick was looking at me and I was like, I love this. And that's exactly what happened. You just went because you saw the movie and you remember that moment and how just heartbreaking it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is from the same director as Winter's Bone, and it seems like the young actress in this film is sort of being positioned in a similar way that Jennifer Lawrence was after that film, sort of this breakout role that hopefully will catapult her to sort of larger success because she's so good.
Yeah. We haven't seen another Deborah Granick movie since Winter's Bone, but it just proves to you how serious she takes this job of bringing certain films to the audience. She's not going to just take on any kind of role. She really wants to feel these movies, and I love that about her film. You could feel it from the core, and Ben Foster and Thomason just give incredible performances.
And it is such a simple movie in terms of everything else that we're sort of shown all the time and how big and everybody wants to be. But I will say it never goes into a place that I saw coming. I didn't see the end coming. I didn't see all the places that it goes. I was never like, okay, yeah. There's almost this element, and I think the producers and the writer, and Deborah said it when they were here, the tension comes from thinking that everybody they encounter could do something horrible, but they all do something good, which is a really effective thing. It's so emotional because everything that we see now in every movie there's got to be a villain. There's got to be someone doing bad. Or it's cynical about people in general because we live in deeply cynical times where it's so hard to know if anybody feels the right thing or is doing the right thing. And in this movie, it's just like, no, it doesn't matter who you are. You do have human impulses to help, you know? And I think I just finished reading Grapes of Wrath, too, when I had them here, so that's another reason.
You were ready for that.
I was like
ready for a cry.
real ready to drop a tear. I was like, mother's milk, oh God. But yeah, let's move on to a completely different kind of movie. Also, though, I will say, go see Leave No Trace. Like, if there is a movie playing right now, and I'll do this again at the end of the show, go see Leave No Trace. It's there's nothing else like it, and I don't think there'll be anything else like it this year except for Lean on Pete. So next up, we have the basketball comedy Uncle Drew. It's a movie whose main idea is dressing professional basketball players in old people makeup and having them play basketball. The crazy thing is that it works and the movie is actually fun. Let's check it out.
How's that geriatric team of yours? You get them all individual life alert bracelets?
You still don't believe, do you? I got each of you a little something.
So we gonna ball?
We gon' ball.
This is where it happens. Let's do this.
Play the game the right way. It fixes everything.
Get that out of here.
This is the moment. You gonna run away from it, or you gonna step up and take it? I get buckets.
So it feels weird to follow up how much I love Leave No Trace with Uncle Drew and be recommending Uncle Drew as well. You don't have to see Uncle Drew, but I will say I went into it expecting, oh, look at it. I went into it expecting to be so bored and not laugh at all, and I walked out pleasantly surprised. Somehow it really works. The movie owns this very silly idea, and everybody in it is totally game and looks like they're having a great time. And then you get Tiffany Haddish and Nick Kroll and Lil Rel, and even Kyrie Irving is really funny, and so is Reggie Miller. They're all really good. It's like shocking how much it works.
Yeah, and this is all based off Kyrie's Pepsi commercial, or is it? Where he dressed as Uncle Drew. And it's just funny how they take this idea of like, this commercial went viral, let's make it a movie and put Tiffany Haddish in it. But it's getting great reviews. Like you said, it's just fun. You just go in and you have fun.
It succeeds because of low expectations. I will say that. Like I went in with like the lowest of expectations and it was like, oh, I wasn't mad, okay.
I actually saw Shaq on The Tonight Show promoting this film, and I was really taken aback by his like expert comic timing. He has this really like low, slow sort of way of speaking, but he's really, really funny. And I think that comes across, especially with sort of the hair and the prosthetics, which are so funny. But if we are adapting Pepsi commercials, can we just adapt the Gladiator one with Beyonce, Pink, and Britney Spears to like a full movie?
Like a musical.
Like anything.
Like a Gladiator musical with Pepsi in the back.
Yeah, why not? Why not do that? Beyonce's acted, right? She was in the
Dreamgirls.
Oscar nominated.
Dreamgirls, Austin Powers.
Fighting Temptations.
Don't bring up Austin Powers. She wouldn't love that.
And wasn't she in
Pink Panther?
Wasn't she in a Tyler Perry movie as well? Like one of those thrillers? Wasn't she in a thriller?
Where Idris Elba was her
Obsessed.
husband and Ali Larder's. Yes.
Was that a Tyler? That was a Tyler Perry, or was it not?
I don't know. I can't say, but it's like that Katherine Heigl. What's that movie? The Katherine Heigl.
Unforgettable.
One?
That's like my favorite genre of film.
Unforgettable Rules. The movie's really great.
So good. I love that genre.
Okay, up next we got something from television, late night on television, from the minds of Derek Beckles and Eric Andre. It's a new Adult Swim show called Mostly for Millennials that is very, very clearly from the minds of Eric Andre and Derek Beckles. Check it out.
I feel woke right now. Mostly for Millennials. Annoying. DJ Dirk. Unfollow me, tweet breath. And spirits, girl.
OMG.
You just got dragged. Something funny, tough guy?
This is a weird show, boys.
Mostly for Millennials, please.
That is Savage Nation.
I cannot get enough virtual reality.
Oh, I'm good.
I like these guys. I love the Eric Andre show. Oftentimes when I'm bored or feeling kind of down, I'll go on YouTube and watch him freak the hell out of whoever he has on his show. I think it's really funny.
So you watched Leave No Trace, and then you went and watched Mostly.
Man of many tastes over here. I like it.
And this is very much like the Eric Andre show. I mean, it's one set with some man on the street sketches, and it's Derek Beckles dressed as this guy. And what I loved the most about it is that some of the Man on the Street sketches are directly parodying the kind of like YouTube kids that do like pranks on the street, or they do like hidden camera things that are also supposed to be somewhat moralizing, but are all like really despicable and almost like dystopic in their morality. And so he has one where it's like there's a homeless guy and it's like, would you say something? And there's 4 kids surrounding him, just like kicking him and saying the worst things. And then a woman comes over to tell them to stop, and he pops in and is like, you're on the hidden camera show called You're Not Supposed to Get Involved. Why did you get involved? You're not supposed to be here. And I thought that was like pretty funny. Do you like the Eric Andre and those guys?
I mean, it's not my thing, but I don't know if I haven't watched the show. I don't know if I'll give it a try either. Just because the trailer, I have no idea what I would expect watching the show. It was just like boom, 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 action, action.
Yeah, it's that. The trailer is the show. That's exactly what it is.
Too much for me.
What I think is funny, though, is they're like pandering to millennials, obviously, but playing with how so many companies do that. And it makes me think of Pride Month when every company is like, we love you, but it's also like so shallow. And I think to sort of crucify that a bit is sort of brilliant.
True.
Yeah, you know, the thing that I had during Pride Month, where it's like all these companies being like, we love you, and it's like, where the fuck were you when this stuff was going to the Supreme Court, when people were marching? Now that everything is legal, you'll make these little viral videos about how much you love everybody, and it's like, you didn't really get in the front lines of the fight when people needed your money and people needed your corporate backing and sort of the mainstream success that could come along with you, but now that it's there, you're willing to ride everybody's coattails. So, and that's kind of what the show is.
No, it is like a very similar sort of approach.
Yeah. Let's move on to another show. It's called, or a movie, excuse me. It's not coming out until next week. So unfortunately for you people watching, you know, we're not going to be here. But fortunately for me, I love nothing better than to do nothing. I will be vacationing. The next movie is called Sorry to Bother You. It's by Boots Riley, who's a famous underground rapper from a group called The Coup. It's a very, very much a socialist satire, and I love it. I think it's exactly what we need right now. Let's take a look at the trailer.
Hello?
This is Cassius Green. Sorry to bother you. I just wanted to...
You want to make some money here? Use your white voice. My white voice? Like this young blood.
Hey, Mr. Kramer. This is Langston from Regal View.
Was that Visa or MasterCard?
We go level it up! You're going upstairs, my compadre.
Okay, bravo.
You don't have to sell out. I'm not selling out.
Here's the starting salary. Well, man, I'm gonna have to get me some new suits.
Have you guys seen Sorry to Bother You?
I have not.
So the thing about Sorry to Bother You is that the trailer just kind of shows this idea that like a black guy adopts a white voice in this call center and comes to some kind of success. But like where the movie, that's the first act of the movie, and where it goes from there just gets crazier by the minute in very smart ways. I mean, I know people have criticized it and said that it just gets crazy for crazy's sake. I don't think that's true. Everything is very rooted in a particular criticism of capitalism, and especially capitalism right now and the way that companies operate. I mean, just one thing is like that call center has a larger conglomerate that has created a volunteer slave race, basically, where people volunteer to be slaves for life so they can have jobs with this company. And that's, again, in the first act. So where it goes from there is just completely crazy. Plus, it also has this amazing cast and very much a kind of Michel Gondry DIY look and feel when it comes to the effects and the direction.
Yeah, when we were in Sundance, this movie premiered there, and everyone was talking about it. And a lot of it was on, like, you know, Call Me By Your Name was out, and everyone was shocked by Armie Hammer in this, kind of being like this cokehead. And but then Tessa Thompson, like you said, the cast is just unreal.
Tessa Thompson, Terry Crews, Lakeith Stanfield, Armie Hammer, Danny Glover, the voices of David Cross and Patton Oswalt. That's
such a brilliant choice to use David Cross's voice as the white voice.
Patton Oswalt as well. He's the other white voice in it. And I can't. It's a really, really fun time at the movies. And then it's also really smart, and it's saying important things. But most importantly, it's the kind of experience at the movie theater where your jaw hits the floor and you're like, I can't believe they were allowed to go here and they went here.
I've heard something about horse penises.
I wouldn't dare to tell you how that comes up in it. It does.
Third act, second act.
First shot.
Like, because if I were to tell you in any way, it's so much smarter than horse penises. Like, they're there, but it's not like, hey, check it out, horse. It's not like a Jackass kind of thing. It's very much rooted in the critique of the society and where it's heading, and the critique of big business and how it treats its employees. It is very much a socialist movie, which I'm happy to see, especially in the wake of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez winning in the Bronx. Let's do it. Last but not least, we have Sharp Objects, HBO's new miniseries based on Gillian Flynn's award-winning novel of the same name. It follows Camille Preacher, a reporter who comes back home looking to solve the murder of 2 teenage girls while also trying to piece together her dark past, and it stars Amy Adams, America's greatest actress. So you're gonna have to watch. Let's take a look.
What kind of person does that? Hurt a child.
Doesn't help anything. Riling folks up.
You got 2 mutilated girls on your hands. Someone else is doing the riling.
When you're here, you're my daughter. Everything you do comes back on me.
I didn't come back to cause any problems.
I can tell. You hate this place like me.
Someone in this town's hiding something.
Now, I dare to say this in the wake of Twin Peaks: The Return having coming out just last year, but this is one of the more experimental television shows I think ever to air. Again, in the wake of Twin Peaks: The Return, that means absolutely nothing, but I don't think there is really anything else like this on television right now.
No, and like you said, Amy Adams is America's Best Actress. She is. This show could
Step
be
aside,
there
Meryl.
could be like no plot in this show, and you are just like drooling out of your mouth watching Amy Adams on screen because she just captivates you. I am like 4 episodes in, and I know we have like we're not disagreeing on it, but I'm personally like into it. I really like it. I kind of like the slow burn of like a bloodline. But you said it. Explain your point of view, because I'm.
Well, it's Jean-Marc Vallée, who did Dallas Buyers Club and did Demolition and then did Big Little Lies. And he shoots and edits his work with the exception of Big Little Lies. And I would just say, in contrast to Big Little Lies, when you watch that show, it feels very much rooted in television and how a television show is kind of supposed to unfold plot-wise. And Sharp Objects does not feel like that at all. It feels very much about texture, about tone, sound, and that clearly comes from his editing style. So if you're looking to kind of sit down and be gripped by the normal sort of plot machinations of a TV show, this is not the place to be. This is to sort of sit down in a dark room and really feel a television show, like feel the sweat of Georgia, or sorry, in here it's
they're all
Missouri.
very sweaty in Sharp Objects.
Yeah.
But it's true. Sometimes I think when I'm watching it that it would have been a better movie. Gone Girl was a movie too, and that did really well. But I do like seeing Amy Adams on TV in this sort of way and in this role where she could kind of live in it a little bit. And then you have Patricia Clarkson, and Elizabeth Perkins is really good in it. So I enjoy watching the performances, but yeah, you have to be a kind of viewer that's not expecting it to be like every episode, oh my God, I need to see the next one. It's not really that show.
I think that's my biggest criticism of it, is that I think if it were a movie, you would still be able to get so much of what I like about it, but it would be in the kind of package that this story warrants. Because at the end of the day, it is still a story, and it is based on a very specific story that was a 250-page book, which makes a good 110-minute movie. Exactly. And when you're watching this, you're kind of thinking, as much as I say it doesn't have plot like television does, it still does have plot points that just kind of take a little longer to get to, which can be a slow burn. It can also feel like filling time.
I mean, though, Amy Adams on TV, like, well, hello, let's celebrate that. That is amazing. And I love that she started out on TV and she was doing these bit roles on like Smallville and Charmed, where she was this like cannibal eating, like it was like the crazy roles that led to before she sort of broke out with her film career. Yeah. So I'm like, welcome home.
It was before Junebug. Like Junebug was her bit, and everyone was like, who is this? Yeah. Wait, she was in that Drop Dead Gorgeous too. She was in. Like Amy Adams is just stellar. And she hasn't done a movie since, I think, like Nocturnal Animals.
Not her fault.
Yeah.
Which movie was not her fault.
But she's so good in that, too.
That ending shot
But
with
it's just
her
nice.
just waiting, though, is so powerful.
Yeah. It's nice to just, like, have a break from someone and then just have them bust out with, like, a great... I think she performs this role really well, but she can perform a role any role very well. She's Amy Adams. Yeah.
She can do anything. I mean, that's sort of what I think people who love her, I do think she's the greatest working actress right now. And I think it's because she's shown time and again that she can do literally anything, from something like The Master to something like The Muppets to something like The Fighter to this.
Enchanted.
You know?
Oh my God.
Yeah, Enchanted.
Where's that sequel?
Apparently, I think it's coming. Yeah.
I mean, this is nothing like Enchanted. She's like tragic
No, this
alcoholic.
is everything
in this.
like Enchanted. Get the kids, get together, watch Sharp Objects. It's just like Enchanted.
Family friendly.
And then tweet me
Evian bottles
about the
filled of
experience
absolute
afterwards.
vodka.
Yeah. Guys, let's go over some of our top picks. Out of everything we covered, Glow, Sicario, Leave No Trace, Uncle Drew, mostly for Millennials, Sorry to Bother You, and Sharp Objects. What are your top two, Leigh?
I have to say Leave No Trace, of course. I loved it so much, and it's one of those movies, like we said, with like a lean on Pete, that's just a good original movie that's just gets you right where you're supposed to get somebody when they're watching your film. I love
you feel like you're getting closer to people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the characters are just stellar. That one, and now I'm torn because Glow, like you said, is like such a perfect television show, but I do really like Sharp Objects as well because of like the stuff we were talking about, just the visual, the differences, things we haven't really seen on TV before. But you have to be willing to watch experimental TV to get it. So maybe I'll go with Glow. I think I'm going to go with Glow for you guys.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that. The second season is so great, and you know, the first was a lot about how these underdogs even get on TV, and now it's about they're on TV and navigating sort of the perils of showbiz. And it's
but also a certain kind of showbiz
yes,
too, which
very
is so
specific,
cool.
local, sort of at the bottom barrel. But it's a boys' club, and they try to do their best to.
Because every time we get showbiz tales, it's like it always feels like broad, undetailed ideas about showbiz. But setting this in such a specific world makes it feel like something that you haven't seen before. Even when they touch on tropes that you may have seen in showbiz stories before. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Just get so excited about Glow.
No, so I mean, Glow is definitely at the top of my list. And then I haven't seen it yet, but Sorry to Bother You. There was so much buzz coming off that film, and it seems like one that you just have to like see to believe. And so I can't wait to catch that.
Yeah, I go Glow, obviously. If you've heard any word that I've said, I'm pretty sure every other word was Glow. Also, Leave No Trace, as you saw, I cried just talking to people about it, which is weird. And I would, to throw a third one in there, I would throw Sorry to Bother You because it's an experience at the movies that you'll never have again, nor have ever had before. It's a wild, wild ride. That's it for this week for Build Weekend Watch. Before we go, I want to mention that the hit show Power, never seen it, comes back to Stars this Sunday and available on Netflix now are Star Wars The Last Jedi Season 2 and the popular baking series Nailed It and the opioid documentary Recovery Boys. It's Netflix. It's nothing if not a dumping ground for content. Thank you, Leigh. Thank you, Cole, for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I'm Ricky Camilleri, and on July 4th, while the fireworks are going off above your head and the hot dogs are on the grill and everyone is celebrating freedom and independence, remember that women's reproductive rights may be taken away by this time next year. Children are being detained in abandoned Walmarts, and there are more guns in this country than there are people. Happy Independence Day, everybody.